Okay. This is to define your research objectives, which I think you've got the problem with. On this one, it's not like, it's not quite like an assignment that you were given before, where you just needed to follow the assignment. This one requires, well, it's what it is. It's learning academic writing and how to do research. So the only way you can do that is by doing so. So you need to define an objective. What am I going to research? Yeah. What subject am I going to research, and why am I doing it? Yeah. That way you can then develop the reading material you need to read to find out more about it, to find out other people have maybe said about that subject, and to develop your questions. Okay, well, how do I find out information? So that means you might have to produce a questionnaire to be passed round to the various people to get information from them about your subject. But the whole point is picking a subject and defining what your objectives are in that subject. Okay. So after this presentation, you should understand fully the nature and form of unfeasible objectives. That means ones that will not work, and some ways of overcoming the problem. Why is this most important? Right. You suggest the research area that you want to pursue, not the tutor, not me, right? Although tutors, I like myself, will help to guide your choice, your research objectives must be important to you. Because if they are not well thought through and appropriately defined, you may be unable to complete your studies. This presentation offers some insights into how to avoid subjects or objectives that will not work. Come on. So, 3 traps for people that are not wary. Researchers at this level have to guard against 3 potential problems that will delay their research. The trap of Narcissist, where the researcher produces a title but cannot deliver anything to back it up. The Trap of Hercules, where the researcher proposes a study that is far too big and would need hundreds of people to actually assist them to do it, and dozens and dozens of questionnaires or interviews and things of that nature. Oops. The Trap of Cerberus. The proposed research is so sensitive that no collaborating organisation can be found, or any person that can assist you in gathering your information. Is that Maliha just joined?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, good. We've just made a start. What I'm going to do is looking at research and the way you actually need to produce it for this particular program is more complex, because it doesn't tell you what you've got to do. It asks you to come up with a research project. Yeah. And I'll just nip back over those. That one. Your research area that you want to pursue, not from me or the tutor, yeah, although I will be able to help you choose or guide in your choice. This is why I said, once you've decided on a project or something that you want to research for a reason, yeah, then send it to me and let me have a look to make sure that it doesn't fall into one of these categories that we're looking at now, yeah. These are the traps. Basically, where you can't produce, or you produce a title, an idea, but you can't deliver anything substantive to go with it. The second trap of Hercules is where the researcher proposes a study that is far too big altogether, and it would take hours and hours by lots of research assistants doing interviews and long questionnaires. That's the second trap. The third trap Cerberus is the proposed research is so sensitive that no collaborating organisation can be found and all deny access. So that means it's something that is very sensitive to a company that you want to look at, and you can't get any supporting evidence to put together or to find out whether your research theory is right or wrong. Moving on a little bit. The first one is to start thinking of a title for your research. This is often compounded by phrasing to make it sound good rather than starting with the objectives. Yeah, this leads to the narcissism trap. So basically what you've got to do is you've got to pick a subject that's not too complex, that is a particular question to perhaps an industry or a company, even a small organisation. I mentioned before that even communications within a small company, it can be a problem where people are using the wrong type of medium to get their message across, and it needs to be looked at, an audit done of what's being used and why, and then proposals put forward to actually improve it. So something like that could be the basis for anybody's investigation, but it doesn't need to be a huge organisation. This is what it means. So don't just think of a title. Think of something you need to research for a reason. Yeah. I'll cover this. It's not really relevant, but it's just saying why it's called Narcissus. This is a hunter who punished for his pride. The gods made him fall in love with his own reflection so that he could not leave it and wasted to death. In other words, the analogy to this question is that you might come up with an idea and it might look good, but you can't do anything with it. So you imagine a title that stimulates you and thinks, oh, that looks good. Although you may have very little understanding about how you're going to conduct the research, you're unwilling to leave it because you think the title alone will impress people. Well, it won't. It certainly won't impress me. So you need to pick a title or something, a subject, but the second part is the reason for actually doing it. Examples for titles that cannot be delivered include, like, the influence of Islamic banking on world financial institutions. Again, that sounds good, but how do you get the information? Small to medium enterprises as a catalyst for economic development. Again, that's far too big. It's such a broad statement. Yeah, you need to be more specific. Yeah. The competitive advantage in fast foodlets in the People's Republic of China. Again, how are you going to get that information? It'd be almost impossible. Most of the information even on larger organisations is on the net. You can find results, reports, all sorts of things. Reasons why one supermarket is doing less or more than another one. And look at ways in which those can be rectified or finding out the problem involved. Right, let's come back to the next one. Oops, going back. The Trap of Hercules. Every student who starts correctly by thinking about the objectives rather than the title, yeah, the objectives may be to find out something or to get information on something to prove whether it is improving or going worse or whatever. For instance, I'm trying to give you, the increase in learning by this method with regard to, against the learning done conventionally in a school basis, on a school basis. again, it would be enormous. How would you think to get the information for your research? Because the research depends on data, and that data needs to be accessible. So you diffuse the objectives, which is the trap for the unwary. In this scenario, students concentrate on their objectives rather than the title, but cannot gain sufficient focus. Oops, gone past it. Students include too many objectives. Although they include few objectives, each objective has a number of sub-themes which would require further investigation. They include too many academic areas with the proposals, or they include comparative research in their objectives. Comparative research is done after you have maintained what your objective is going to be. There are no set number of objectives, so there might only be one, although this is very rare. Students are not required to submit a long list of objectives like the one on the next slide. Oops, move those up. Oops, there we are. Examples of too many objectives. To investigate investors' opinions of anti-fraud measures in place at a bank. Consulting investors over the impact of anti-fraud measures on customers. To consult investors over their proposals for improved customer service. To address the problems that in the investment process at the bank. To improve customer service at the bank. To improve customer satisfaction at the bank. To grow the number of customers at a bank. To motivate staff at the bank. So there you've got, you're trying to address eight proposals. Hang on. Yeah, you're trying to do too much, in other words. You're trying to find out too many things, yeah? You could pick two of those to improve customer service at a bank and to improve customer satisfaction. Those two proposals on their own would be sufficient, because then you can look at ways in which a bank could improve their customer service and improve their customer satisfaction. One of the things that you could do is provide then a questionnaire for customers that would find out what would satisfy them better and what would improve the services at the bank itself. So those two out of all that would probably be a good research project, yeah? A sub-theme. Investigating opinions of anti-fraud measures in place at the bank and consult over the impact of anti-fraud measures on customer service at the bank. It's too big. There's too much to it. Yeah, it'll create too much work. To address the problems of investment processes. Again, it's going too deep into it. To improve customer service, customer satisfaction, and grow the numbers in the bank. Again, that on its own would probably suffice to make your research proposal valid. Oops, academic areas. So let's be clear, comparative research is necessary and at times it will be welcomed, but be careful with the scope of any comparisons you wish to investigate. So if you use the one at the previous one of a bank, you could look at one that was a successful bank, but only one. Don't look at several. Yeah, it would create far too much work. You only need to do what's necessary to achieve the objectives of the scope of this unit, rather than get too deep into different or comparative research. to investigate. I'll come back to, we said customer satisfaction, yeah? We could look at to improve customer service, customer satisfaction, and grow the number of customers at 3 banks, yeah? So that's saying 3, no more than 3, yeah? So you don't get into it too deep and have to find out more and more information, which won't really add much to the research project that you're going to do. The last one is the Trap of Cerberus. Now, in Greek mythology, Cerberus was the hound of hell, a 3-headed dog with a snake tail. Cerberus guarded the gate of Hades and ensured that the spirits of the dead could enter, but none could exist and no living creature could enter. In the business world, research may have the potential to offer intelligence and possibly comparative advantage to organisations. If your research needs to be organisationally based to permit all the data that needs to be collected, you need to negotiate access. In other words, it may be that the company that you want to look at, as we mentioned earlier, doing a communications audit or something similar, you would have to negotiate access to that information with that company. You should not conduct this type of research into an organisation without their previous acknowledgement or their permission. Yeah, hence the dog won't let anybody pass. It can be thought of as a well-constructed research objective that requires an organisation to collaborate with you and or allow you access to its data and information. If they refuse you access, you'll not be able to collaborate in your research. So that needs to be organised before you take that step, if you want to research that type of, or do that type of research. Okay, so you will have some time to suggest your research objectives. You should be thinking about how you can clarify them. You might need to think of how you can narrow them down and think about which organisation, if an organisation is required, or company, might help you with the dissertation on the issue. Yeah. So those are the 4 points that you need to look at most carefully with regard to setting up any research project. Yeah. Research your objectives, how you can clarify them so that you gain your object, and then think about which are other people that you need to collaborate with to get the information that you require or data that you require to satisfy the project that you started out with. Yeah. Examples of research proposals can be found within Moodle. So if you go on the Moodle platform, you'll be able to find some examples of research proposals that will give you a start or an idea of one that you want to produce yourself. So, coming back from there, task 1, which covers 1.1, 1.2, 2.1, 2.2 and 2.3, 4.1 and 4.2 on your learning objectives here. Yeah. Using different sources of information, journals, articles, books, newspapers, or a website, review the literature around the topic of your choice. So once you've decided on your topic, yeah, and you've decided what your research is going to be about, yeah, because again, there is no specific scenario here. It's something that you've got to do yourself. Yeah? You then start to do some reading or pick out some articles, books, newspapers or websites to review what's been said already around the topic of your choice. The other bit is coming on from Unit 3 that we did previously, where we covered Harvard referencing and the system of Harvard referencing. Again, that is on the Moodle for you to look at if you need to go back over that again. I did cover that previously on that unit, but if you require any further information on that, by all means contact me. So to get this unit moving, what I suggest you do first is decide on a project and the reason for doing that project. Don't make it too big. Make it workable between yourself with collaboration from a company, if that's what you're going to use, or that's what sort of idea you're going to use. Yeah. But once you've done that, send it to me and let me have a look at it and make sure that it's workable. If it is, I'll then say, yeah, okay, that's fine. Go ahead on that one and start to produce the information. Yeah. So you need to do a literary review. Yeah. So you write a literature review saying why you've used it, what it's for, and what information it has given you in terms of your project. Yeah. So that's the literature review you must write. And it's just a straightforward Word document. Now, the second task, I'm just going to outline now, but let's get I'll go back over the first one in a minute. The second part of the presentation is, after conducting your literature review, you're required to present a research proposal explaining the aim and objectives of the research, as well as explaining which method is appropriate for your research and why the other methods are perhaps not suitable. So, having decided on your project, this is why I said that's important, and send that to me first. Once we've agreed on what that proposal is going to be, then the work you do around it just follows the instructions, yeah, on here, to the letter. The challenges you're going to have when you're doing your research, in particular, focus on the importance of being self-motivated and learning on your own, which is what this unit is about. Yeah? It's self-motivation and learning on your own. I will give you support, whatever you need, but you need to then do a presentation in the second part. Presentation can include an explanation of your subject area, your aim, your objectives and your questions, what method you're going to use for your research, the challenges you're likely to face, and the reflections of your learning techniques to complete the research project. Yeah? So that's a presentation which will take approximately 10 minutes. So you're going to need roughly a minimum of 5, but probably around about 8 slides that would take 10 minutes. Yeah. So the submission is a copy of your slides, photos, and an evaluation form. Okay. Now, once you send that presentation to me, I can actually observe that and give you the evaluation. So that's the second part. But let's go back to task 1, which is deciding on your research project, sending that to me to get it evaluated and say, yes, that's fine, or not, and why, and then do your literature review. Yeah, so that's basically task 1. Is that clear to everyone? Or have you got any outstanding issues there?
Excuse me, sir?
Have you got any outstanding issues there, or do you know what you're intending to do now?
Yeah, I have this question. I was just looking at my Moodle account and I couldn't find one of the examples for the research proposal. As you said, we could find one on the Moodle.
Ah, right, okay. I'll have a look on there and get that back to you. But as an outline now, do you know what you want to do?
Yeah, first I'd like to have a look at the example or the pre-made research proposal so that I could have an idea of my practical work that I need to do according to this task.
Okay,
So,
fine. I'll run that back now. Just a second. I will. Right. It would appear, Maliha, that it has been taken off. I will look into that and put that straight back for you. Is that okay?
okay.
Yeah. I'll sort that out and get that put on too as soon as we close this meeting now. And then you'll be able to make a start from there. Daniel, is your understanding any better now?
Yeah. Better.
Yeah. Okay, good. That's better. Right. Well, what I'll do, I'll put that example up for you immediately, and then you can have a look at that. Malia, and do you get my mail this morning?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. So any work that you've got, put it on to Learner Work, and I'll give that a look at and give you some feedback on it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir, that's pretty much fine. I'll be sending you some of my work by tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, well, I'll close this meeting now, and I will address that thing that's missing immediately. I'll get back to you straight away. Okay, then. Thanks for attending, and I will speak again on Wednesday. Yeah, okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Bye.
Right. Bye now.